This is WFYI News Now. It's September 16th, and I'm Abriana Herron. On today's show, the Indiana Secretary of State provides the U.S. Department of Justice personal information on the state's registered voters. The Muncie Human Rights Commission president steps down after comments made celebrating the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. And the annual Tippecanoe Latino Festival brought people together over the weekend to celebrate culture and community.
For us, it was also a way of, here we are, right? Regardless of what might be going around, we are still showing up and being resilient and still celebrating our roots and our heritage.
Those stories coming up, but first, Indiana's former Public Safety Secretary, Jennifer Ruth Green, faces a complaint accusing her of violating multiple provisions of the state's ethics code, the Indiana Capitol Chronicle reports. Green allegedly misused staff by improperly involving them in her political campaign and requiring them to perform personal errands during work hours. The complaint filed by the Indiana Office of Inspector General says Green used her state vehicle for personal and political purposes and retaliated against an employee who cooperated with investigators. The Inspector General says Green's political activity on state time amounted to ghost employment, a felony under Indiana law. The state's Ethics Commission will hold a public meeting to review evidence and allow Green an opportunity to respond. In a social media post, Green says she was, quote, disappointed and disgusted by these baseless allegations, end quote. She says she is seeking legal options to help address the complaint. Green resigned earlier this month, less than 9 months into her role. Indiana Secretary of State Diego Morales says his office provided the personal information of the state's registered voters, nearly 5 million Hoosiers, to the U.S. Department of Justice. Brandon Smith reports Morales says he's complying with a letter from the Trump administration sent in recent weeks.
The U.S. Department of Justice has sent letters to many, if not all, states in the last few months asking for officials to turn over voter roll information. A few weeks ago, Morales said attorneys in his office were reviewing the request. Now, he says he's turned over all the personal information the DOJ wanted.
Everything we do has one purpose: to safeguard Hoosier elections and ensure only U.S. citizens are voting in our elections.
The information turned over to the Trump administration includes names, addresses, driver's license numbers, and the last 4 digits of voters' Social Security numbers. It does not include voting history. Other states have refused to turn over the information, citing privacy concerns. I'm Brandon Smith at the State House.
The Muncie Human Rights Commission president, Stephen Knipp, will step down from his position following social media comments he made that celebrated the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Knipp was appointed by Muncie's previous city council to lead the Human Rights Commission. Last week, after Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking at a university in Utah, Knipp made comments on a Muncie resident's Facebook post about the incident. He said Kirk, quote, constantly provoked hate and violence toward other people, and that Kirk, quote, deserved this, and I hope he is only the first, end quote. The comments on the original post have since been deleted. Members of the Muncie City Council and the mayor's office issued statements calling for Knipp's resignation or removal from the commission. On Thursday, Knipp submitted his resignation in a letter and said he was stepping down so the commission could do its work without distraction. And for our final story today, the annual Tippecanoe Latino Festival brought people together over the weekend to celebrate culture and community. Samantha Horton reports it happened as other similar events are canceled across the country due to rising anti-immigration sentiment.
People huddled close to the stage as rain poured down to watch and enjoy the musical acts closing out this year's festival at Columbia Park. This year's festival in Lafayette comes at a time when ramped-up immigration detainments have led other Latino festivals, including in Indianapolis, to cancel due to safety concerns. Guillermo Morgado Rodriguez is the board president of the Latino Center of Wellness and Education that organized the event. He says calling it off wasn't an option, with sponsors and visas having been secured months ago.
For us, it was also a way of, here we are, right? Regardless of what might be going around, we are still showing up and being resilient and still celebrating our roots and our heritage.
Margado Rodriguez says he is already looking forward to the 2026 festival with the date and location already set. I'm Samantha Horton.
That's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by Zach Bundy, with support from the news team at WFYI and public media journalists across the state. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. Kendall Antron produced our music, and I'm your host, Abriana Herron. If you liked today's episode, remember to subscribe and share, and follow WFYI on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.